So it is 7:33 p.m. and I need to talk about this because it's been bothering me a lot. And it is about how people blow Eloise's failures as a friend completely out of proportion. And I think that it is so wild. Eloise did a few things. It's not exactly the same thing as writing an anonymous column, tearing people down, including her own friends, and then calling it protection. So let's talk about why these two people's faults and failures were not on the same level. Hi, my name is Susan. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, how is it going? So today I want to talk about Pen and Eloise. A lot of people actually refer to Eloise as self-centered, as a bad friend. But when we're really looking at the receipts that we have from Bridgerton, it basically comes down to this. Eloise talks a lot, yes. Eloise didn't magically know that Penelope was actively lying to her face. She also had priorities outside of fixing, her friends' problems. Maybe that made her a little bit selfish, but really, that was it. That was it when it came to Eloise. But Penelope's faults were on a completely different scale. There was deceit, there was manipulation, there was betrayal, and somehow I think that she branded them as protection.
Eloise, I'm so sorry about everything.
For what you did? Or because I discovered it was you who wrote such damning things?
You may not understand what I did, but I was only trying to protect...
Oh, I do not need your explanations.
How does protection leave other people hurt but keeps you safe? Like nothing really happens to you. I feel a couple of times she talked about herself so that, there won't be suspicions that she was the one, obviously. That was a smart thing on her part. But besides that, I feel like Pen actually did a lot of havoc with her column. I would also like to say that with Eloise, her faults were not like malicious, right? She didn't set out to hurt people. In her friendship with Pen, you could actually see that she had her back for the most part. She defended her against bullies like Cressida. She comforted her when her father died, and she didn't shame her for enjoying the society life and really enjoying wanting to have like a man of her dreams and stuff like that. And if we're, for example, taking the Cressida situation where Cressida was going to be married to an aged person, when Cressida told Eloise of the situation, like I mentioned in my previous video, she wasn't exactly proposing a solution. Instead, what she did was to start ranting about Colin and Pen again to Cressida, who had bigger fish to fry at that point. But really, there was not much that she could do. Eloise was also in the habit of protecting Pen, because when Cressida has this plan to stop the marriage to this aged man that would involve outing the Featheringtons and even her family, I don't think it was necessarily selfishness that she was choosing to prioritize her family at that point. I think that at the point where Eloise kind of ended things with Cressida, which I don't know if I would call that ending. I just think that they were no longer on the same page, and Eloise had to step back. It wasn't like, it was just the rational thing that she had to do at that point. Again, it turned out the wedding was off and Cressida was being sent to Wales. So, her life was not ruined in that sense. Like, she didn't have to marry the aged man. So things still turned out okay. But I feel like in season 3, even when Eloise was unhappy with finding out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown, she found out that she was betrayed by someone that she called her friend for all these years. All she did was, cut her off, and she kept her distance. She didn't expose her. She didn't try to bring down her family name or whatnot. She just stayed away. And I think that was quite mature of Eloise. She didn't even talk to her family about it. She didn't talk to the queen about it. She never spoke to anyone about it. And I think that's one thing that people can also learn from friendships, because we see a lot of friendships where, because someone is no longer on good terms with you, then start spreading all their secrets with other people or telling other people what they did to you and all. I think that's one takeaway from Eloise's relationship with Pen, where she kept everything that she had with Pen, all their secrets and everything between them, and she didn't go spreading it around to the first person that cared to be her friend. I can't say the same for Pen if that had been a situation, to be honest, because as much as Pen was struggling with a lot of people also struggling with a lot, but you still have a choice how you decide to leave, right? Pen had a choice, and she decided to create a column that was essentially causing a lot of havoc for people. right? Even including her family. So yeah, I believe that Eloise could be thoughtless sometimes, but she might have missed maybe things that people did not tell her directly because she was always all up in her head and thinking about big ideas and stuff and reading a lot of books. So yeah, maybe she might have been a little insensitive sometimes or not as present as she should have been. But I definitely think that Pen's actions were a bit more dangerous and more like eyebrow raising, like Pen, maybe you need therapy. Like that was a lot. It was a lot for Pen to do all that she did, keeping it private from her friend and then going on to expose Marina as well. Like I feel like the show definitely highlighted the faults of these young girls, but it also showed us that as much as we could empathize with Pen's situation and a lot of what she was going through due to the fact that she wasn't getting like love interest and all of that, there were also things in her character that like were like there was a lot of light being shown on how she could also be selfish and how she could be manipulative and how she could be deceptive to even her close friends and family, which a lot of people tend to kind of avoid talking about and just stand Pen anyway. I'm not a Pen hater. I absolutely love Pen, but I just have to highlight as well that, Pen also had her faults here that a lot of people just blatantly choose to ignore. Okay, let's not pretend. The Pen was not also, quite an interesting character. Anyway, I want to know what you guys thought about this and what are your thoughts about Pen's fault versus Eloise's fault. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.